Etsy stock is down 30% from its recent high in March. But is it the time to buy now for some sweet gains? Stick around to the end of the video to hear my full analysis and my opinions of the stock.
Yeah, boy.
Come enjoy the finance and stick around for the memes. I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of this video, and it's going to be the busy business model, followed by the master management team, and then the oh so fine financials, followed by the crispy competition, and finally, the risky business with this business. You're probably wondering, what does Etsy do? And Etsy's main goal is just to connect buyers to sellers and sellers to buyers. So once you sell something on a platform, then likely you're going to be a buyer as well. So that kind of creates a source of community for these buyers and sellers. So Etsy actually owns 3 other businesses that are part of Etsy's business, which is the Etsy platform itself, Reverb, and Depop. Now, Etsy's platform itself is focused on handmade and vintage items as well as craft supplies. Now, these items fall under a wide range of categories, ranging from jewelry to bags to clothing to home decor, furniture, toys, art, as well as craft supplies and toys. That was a lot to say. Now, people usually come to Etsy when they want a personalized good that could be for holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, but you just want something that's customized for you that was made by somebody else. And that way you can have control of what you're ordering and you can have real customization. Now, I was doing some research on Etsy and I saw that a lot of the sellers actually like selling on Etsy more than they would on other platforms like eBay or Amazon, just because they're able to get faster payments and it's a lot easier, and a lot of the fees are a lot less than other websites. Now, looking at Etsy's web statistics, we can see that they have 32 million users monthly, and 58% of Etsy sales occurred on mobile devices. And we know that mobile devices and e-commerce is just going to expand as time goes on, because a lot of people do not like going to the store, getting the thing, and walking out. There's a lot of time and energy that is not really needed when you have e-commerce. So I would not be surprised if this upward trend of e-commerce and online sales does increase as time goes on. Now, looking at their second business, Reverb, they're actually the largest online marketplace dedicated to buying and selling new, used, and vintage musical instruments. Now, I found out online that Reverb was actually targeted towards millennials and Gen X men. Do men just like vintage instruments or something? I don't know.
What he's doing? Why you bullying me?
But Reverb does operate in the US, Canada, UK, and France, and a lot more other countries. So Reverb was actually bought 1 year ago by Etsy, and Etsy even stated that they were able to grow their gross profit and implement that gross profit into new investments like marketing. Reverb was actually able to grow faster than the musical industry as a whole. So as for the last business, which is Depop, it's actually very exciting just because this is a brand new acquisition that was valued at $1.625 billion. So Depop is at the forefront of fashion re-commerce and is aimed at Gen Z kids that are on TikTok these days. They're actually a giant international flea market that you can find online that's available to UK, US, and Australian people. Now, this is a really big push for Gen Z or people under 25 years old. Now, Depop uses influencer marketing to funnel their brands on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok. Now, the CEO of Etsy actually stated that the re-commerce of clothing is growing at 40% per year, and this market is valued at $6 billion alone. Now, he stated that by 2030, a lot of these people that are joining the workforce will be Gen Z, and that number is 1.3 billion. Now, that's 4 times as much as the US population today, which is at 320 million. Depop actually grew over 100% in the past year, and that was with barely any marketing expenses at all. A lot of their growth was organic and based off user retention in their user base. Depop has 4 million active buyers and 2 million active sellers, and these sellers sell to buyers and these buyers sell back to the sellers. 75% of these sellers were actually buyers, and that just calls for a very sticky business overall, and these retention rates are very high. He stated that the hot trends were sneakers, vintage clothing, and streetwear. I think that this acquisition by Etsy is able to propel growth for the company because they are expanding themselves to a whole new set of audiences, and a lot of people will stick around for the Etsy business as a whole. It's very important because if you see Etsy as a growth company, you want to see them reinvesting their capital into new businesses and acquire other companies so they can build their portfolio up. So Etsy as a company grew way more than 100% with businesses closing due to the pandemic, and a lot of people were shopping online. Now, in the second quarter, it was stated that they had $3 billion in gross merchandise sales, and that is about 3 times as much than they had pre-pandemic. Now, Etsy hosted an investor day on March 2019, and this outlined the 5-year strategic plan and long-term targets for Etsy. So Etsy stated that the 4 pillars included personalized search and discovery, human connections, a strong and trusted brand, and a marketplace that features a huge assortment of special vintage and handcrafted items. These drivers today remain relevant as Etsy continues to report improvements with its search engine and removal of guided search icons and faster loading page time. So Etsy is a very unique platform that does have a very strong brand, And not many companies around the world are able to connect you to a seller that's going to hand make your item for you, and they're not really known for that. But Etsy, being the beast that they are, they're able to connect somebody to a creative entrepreneur that's able to fulfill that order for you. They also like reinvesting their money back into marketing and propelling the business growth forward. Now we're gonna look at the total addressable market, and the market for special and unique items made up approximately $100 billion. Now Etsy in 2018 had global gross merchandise sales at $3.9 billion, giving it roughly 4% in market share. Fast forward today, we know that e-commerce has grown a lot throughout the year, so we can conclude that this total addressable market has grown as a whole. This means that Etsy may have an easier time with gaining more customers on their platform. But now we gotta go into the massive management team, and that all starts with the CEO, Josh Silverman. Josh Silverman is a very astounding individual, and he has been having 2 decades worth of experience in leadership positions. He served as the president of consumer products and services at American Express. He was also the CEO of Skype, the CEO of shopping.com, and he held various roles at eBay, which is a very similar business to Etsy, if you would notice. Earlier in his career, he also founded Evite, which is that one platform that you use to invite other people to your events. But he was CEO of that as well. Now he is currently on the board of Shake Shack. Now if you guys follow Shake Shack, you can see that they've been expanding and they've been able to grow their business a lot throughout this pandemic. So we can see that Josh Silverman is a very smart individual that does like to dig his nose and grow businesses while he's at that place and at that company. But he's been with Etsy for about 4 years, and we gotta see why he's such an astounding individual and what he's done for Etsy. Looking at gross merchandise sales, we can see that they increased in 2017 of $3 billion to $10 billion in 2020. Now these gross merchandise sales grew about 106% in 2020 compared to 2019. Now off these sales, we can see that they were able to create revenues in 2017 of $400 million. Now that grew to $1.7 billion in 2020. Likewise, to the previous chart, we can see that it grew 110% in 2020 compared to 2019, which is insane. But now I'm going to take you down the trip of looking at the oh so fine financials. We can see that their sales and revenue has been increasing year after year, 20%, 36%, 35%, 110%. Likewise, we can see that their gross profit or gross income has been able to increase steadily along with their revenues. Looking at their EPS, they've been able to grow their EPS almost year after year. And looking at their EBITDA, year after year, it's 38%, 80%, 38%, 244% in EBITDA, which is basically their cash earnings. But how's the financial situation with Etsy? Looking at the balance sheet, we can see that they have cash and cash equivalents of about $1.67 billion. Now looking at the short-term debt, we can see what kind of debt that they have to pay off and how much that is that they have to pay off soon. This number is about $13 million. It might seem like Etsy has a lot in cash compared to how much they have in short-term debt, but we have to take into mind that the Depop acquisition was valued at $1.62 billion. So if we take the $1.67 billion that they have in their balance sheet, subtract that from the acquisition cost of $1.625 billion, we have about $45 million on their cash balance sheet. So if we take the $45 million of the balance sheet minus the $13 million in the short-term debt, we can see that we have about $32 million on the balance sheet. But looking at their long-term debt, it's not that much, but they do have $1.12 billion in long-term debt. With the recent acquisition of Depop, I do think that this acquisition will be able to create more revenues and more earnings for the company, as well as the earnings that they will be getting from Etsy and Reverb. And they will then be able to build up a higher cash pile that will be able to pay off debt later on. So I don't think that they're in the worst financial situation right now. But let's look at where Etsy trades at. We can see that the price to earnings multiple is at 44, their price to sales is at 10, their enterprise value to gross profit is at 13, and their enterprise value to EBITDA is at 34. Being the revenue beast they have been in the past year, I believe that the enterprise value to gross profit of 13 is justified. However, we do know that Etsy's growth might funnel down as the economy reopens and people return back to normalcy. I think that they're trading at actually pretty decent multiples, because if you look at enterprise value to gross profit of other growth companies, we can see that they're trading higher than 20, higher than 50, and even higher than 100 sometimes. Now comparing this to another company like Etsy, we can see that eBay is a lot cheaper based on the valuations across the board. However, eBay does grow at a lot slower rates, and it's very hard for eBay to funnel growth to their business. On the other hand, we have Shopify, where anybody can go online, create their online business where they have handmade crafted goods, but they're trading at very high multiples. Some of the multiples are 3 to 5 times larger than Etsy's, but they are growing twice as much as Etsy, but I don't think that they should be trading at such high multiples. Maybe like twice to 3 times as much would be fine. So overall, looking at valuation metrics, I do think that Etsy is trading pretty decent and they do look pretty attractive. But we gotta go into their crispy competition, and who is it? I stated already. That's eBay, Amazon Handmade, and Shopify. These businesses are very similar where they're able to connect buyers to sellers, and they're all kind of competing for the same market share. But Etsy does have an edge. Get edge. Boy! Etsy has a brand around them where everybody knows where you can get handcrafted goods, and that's from Etsy. Etsy is essentially a one-stop shop for people looking to get handcrafted goods for Valentine's Day, Father's Day, and other holidays that they're looking forward to. But now we gotta go into the risky business of this business. We know that the massive growth that we have seen in the past year was very driven by the pandemic. And we know that the pandemic's coming to an end and the economy is reopening. So we're just gonna have to see where everything shakes out there and if people are gonna shift to in-person physical retail and not shop as much online. Also, this stock is down about 30% from its recent high, and overall in the past year the stock has been up 90%. I do not know where the stock will go from here, and it could drop even lower, so there's a risk for that as well. Lastly, we know that there has been no more stimulus checks that are going to be issued, and likely a lot of people will not have that income of stimulus checks to come to their bank account, meaning they won't be able to spend as much on Etsy products overall. So overall, I do believe that Etsy is a great growth company that is now trading at decent multiples. The pandemic did lead to more users, and I do think that a lot of the users are going to stick around and use the Etsy platform as time goes on, just because they loved it and they've been attracted to a whole new side that they've never been attracted to. There's a possibility that these users will be loyal and be part of that 75% of sellers that are also buyers. Personally, I have been nibbling on some shares, but I have not built a full position yet. Right now, I'm about a half to 2/3 done with building my position, and I do see this as a $3,000 position. However, if this does drop a lot more in the near future, I might just have to buy a lot more because it is teasing me.
You naughty, naughty.
But let me know, is Etsy going to keep growing even if the economy reopens? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Anyways, have a great day guys, and peace out.